Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Out Today and What I Missed, this time for May 29th, 2026. We have 16 albums to talk about this week, 8 that come out today, 8 that I missed along the way, and no time to dilly-dally. Let's get into it. First up, we have Devin Townsend with the Moth. I don't know what I could possibly add about Devin Townsend at this point. I've been following the man's career since the mid-2000s, and unpopular opinion or not, I'm a bigger fan of his solo work than I was of Strappy Young Lad, and I love SYL. Over the years, Heavy Devi has put out some of my favorite albums ever made, and ones that I'll just never go back to. In the past decade, Townsend has been working on his magnum opus, The Moth, where he puts everything on the line, from conceptual aspects to showcasing almost every style of music he's ever done in a grand 24-track display. It goes all over the map, from his proggier sides to his super heavy aspects to the overall feel of the album having this rich, grand, symphonic feel done by the North Netherlands Orchestra and Choir. The production is off the charts and the songwriting is signature Devin, but done in a bit more of a sophisticated way that needs to be heard to be fully grasped. This is easily my favorite work he's done since Epic Cloud, and that's not an easy thing to say. It feels like a true culmination of his life's work, and while I'm not sure where he will go from here, I'm very excited to see what the future holds. Until then, The Moth is a thrilling experience that no matter your era that you love of Devin Townsend's work, this is worth your time and investment. Next up, we have Elder with Through Zero. Elder has returned after 4 years with their 7th album, and it's easily their most ambitious album to date, exploring more of their psychedelic and progressive sides more than ever before. The band has put out a new offering exploring their songwriting and what's capable in their sound, with 6 tracks and the shortest song being just shy of 6 minutes. The band is diversifying and showing what can be done if they allow their instincts to shine. The production on this one fits perfectly with the sound, and hearing the band hit so much of what I loved in the past, but expanding upon newer influences that truly works in their favor. Imagine a mix of Mastodon, Baroness, Chemist, and latter-day Pallbearer, and you have what Elder is right now, and they're flying in all of their glory. While it might be a bit early to say so, I think this is their best work to date, and it shows that being ambitious can truly pay off in the best of ways. If you've never had to before, check out Elder and everything that they have to offer. Now we have Eternal Evil with Forever Feared. The third album from the Stockholm, Sweden band feels like the perfect culmination of thrash, black metal, speed metal fused together to create a sound that sounds as fresh as it does vintage. It feels like if the band Enforcer started being influenced by Slayer and Bathory, and it truly works. The production is magnificent and plays to the strengths of the band, while the songwriting feels so inspired no matter the tempo or the style. At 9 songs at a little over 38.5 minutes, this captures everything that you could possibly want in this sound and somehow still leaves you wanting more. If you love this style, and you simply won't get enough of this one, it's one of the best of the year to combine all of these elements, and I can't imagine that you'll be disappointed. Next up, we have Galvanist with The Silence Between Stars. The sophomore album from the Montana band is quite the eye-opening experience. The way that they create an experimental take on death doom while adding in flavors of sludge, post, black metal, and more into a sound with so many twists and turns that you simply won't see coming. Everything from the more fiery and evil side of black metal to the dark and dreary doom to the more enthralling and scream spoken word is here, and it's done in a way that feels natural no matter how many directions it can fly into. The production is nice and punchy, allowing everyone to breathe, and again, the songwriting is for those who truly enjoy their music heavy, but to the left of center. If you enjoy the likes of bands like Yob, Inter Arma, and Wild Beyond, Galvanist is your new obsession. Next up is Hecate Enthroned with A Corpse of a Titan, a Lament Long Buried. Oh, how I've been waiting to talk about this one for a long time, and I'm really sad that it got pushed back till now, but it's here. This is likely going to be my favorite Symphonic Meloblack album of the year, and it will take a monumental release to topple this one. The 7th album and the first in 7 years from this long-running UK band is the band's best work to date. It feels so enchanting and unholy with its mix of apocalyptic black metal, haunting symphonics, and just the right amount of death metal elements to make this not only a thrilling experience from start to finish, but if you love the style, a necessary experience. The production is humanized and it still punches you in the gut with every single note, and the songwriting is endlessly inspired and it does not let up on that momentum, no matter the tempo. If you love bands like Nagelfar, Avant-Garde, Graveworm, and Old Man's Child, you absolutely need this one. Here we have Leatherwitch with First Spell. From the ashes of Crystal Viper comes the debut album from Marta Gabriel. This feels like everything that I've ever loved about her work up to this point, all done in one album. From all guns blazing speed to the jaw-dropping guitar solos to the perfect melodic sections to heighten the music as a whole, this album has everything that you could possibly want in that heavy metal, speed metal sound. The production is pure vintage and feels authentic, with the songwriting that'll keep you coming back time and time again. If you enjoy the likes of the now dead and buried Crystal Viper, Enforcer, Hyperion, and Burning Witches, you will love Leatherwitch. Here we have Maladie with the Dance of Tragedies. The 8th album from this off-the-wall band featuring the almighty Diha is the What Did I Just Listen To album of the year. And I of course mean that in the best of ways, as there's no bands that sound like Maladie, nor do I think anyone could ever replicate them. Combining avant-garde, progressive, experimental, and just plain wacky takes on black metal is something that soothes the soul and leaves you wondering exactly where are they going to go from here. The production is stunning, allowing you to hear every level of instrumentation and vocal ability, and the songwriting simply needs to be heard to even try to attempt to understand. As stated, no one truly sounds like Maladie, but it also sounds like what I imagine to be a mix of Pensées Nocturnes, Arcturus, Withersake, and Akerkaki, and that's as close as I can get to being able to replicate the sound. It's something that you simply must hear for yourself and make your own judgment call. That said, I loved every single second of this album, and if you want your music as off the wall but intriguing as possible, you need to check this one out. And finally, for brand new music out today, we have Trelldom with By the Word. And speaking of left-of-center black metal, we definitely have that here with the 5th album from this Norwegian band, comprising of past and present members of Gorgoroth, Nightingale, and Altar. And of course, I'm talking about the almighty Gaul. Hearing the inclusion of more woodwind instruments this time around with more saxophone and clarinets, and of course more keyboards, organs, and electronics is a nice touch to showcase the diversity that the band is capable of, all while showing that it can still write some very intriguing music. The production is very human, and you can hear every level with ease, which is needed for songs like these. Obviously, this will not be an album for everyone, but if you want an idea of what King Crimson would sound like if they made black metal, or if you dig the likes of Doheimsgard, or Ranzi Pazuzu, and Arcturus, but done a bit more proggy and off the wall, check out Trelldom and all they have to offer. And now for everything that I missed along the way, starting with Abandoned Agony with Endbringer. The debut album from the Swedish band is pure, unadulterated Melodeath through and through. It has everything you love about the genre, from the heavy but tasteful riffs, to the out-of-this-world catchy choruses, to the melodies and harmonies that will be stuck in your head for days. The artwork aside, that won't be for everybody, but the production on this one hits hard and it lets the songs shine. The first band that I come to think of when I hear this album is Dark Tranquillity, but if you also enjoy the likes of Among Ruins, Maladie, Dead Void Inc., and As the Sun Falls, you will find so much to love about Abandoned Agony. Next up is a band name that I feel like I'm going to get wrong, but I'm going to try my best to pronounce it. Acolythus, with Unearthly Kingdoms, Neath Lifeless Stars. The debut album from this Finnish black metal band hits ridiculously hard, and it feels like an album that came out way back in 1994, but done with so much more competence and musicality than you would normally hear from the time period. The production makes everything feel ice cold, and just so much more evil because of that. And the songwriting is the true selling point here, with some of the best traditional black metal I've heard in a very long time, especially for a debut album in the 2020s. If you love that old school black metal sound, but you want it done with a little bit more of a 2020 sensibility, you're not going to find much better than a brand new band like this. Seriously, check this one out. Now we have As the Sun Falls with Songs from the Veil, easily the band's best work to date, bar none. I discovered this Finnish band with their previous album, the 2024 sophomore album, Kamos, but 2 years later and 3/4 of a brand new lineup, the band is back with their best material. The songs hit so much more dynamics than ever before, hitting new territories and even doing a better job of what was done in the past. A stellar production style and songwriting that is some of the best you will ever hear in Melodeath in 2026. The band has more than up their game here, and every track simply shines. If you want some of the best, darkest, and truly spectacular Melodeath done this year, check out As the Sun Falls. Now we have Darkgeist with Words of Sinners. The debut album from this Bulgarian band feels like the perfect mixture of goth rock and gothic metal, mixing together a terrific mix of the past and present in the goth world while adding some 21st century sensibility in a way that feels endlessly catchy and still hits hard. There's so much of the music that reminds me of the band Takida, but of course you'll hear elements of bands like Typo Negative, The Sisters of Mercy, Him, and more. Their production feels like the right balance of human and clean to make the songs work to the best of their ability. If you're as big of a fan of Takida as I am, but you want to hear it in even more of a gothic and dark tone, check out Darkgeist in all of their glory. Haha, here comes some fun with Defect Designer with Depressants. The fourth album from this Norwegian band is completely bonkers. Imagine what would happen if you took Imperial Triumphant, Diablo Swing Orchestra, and the Dillinger Escape Plan into one band, featuring past and present members of Flesh God Apocalypse, Trollfest, and Discord. This is an album that throws absolutely everything against the wall in a sheer act of sheer brutality, with just enough left of center elements to grab your attention and wonder where things will go next. That 13 songs in almost 53.5 minutes, this will not be the easiest listen in the world, but if you want to know what would happen if you take the best of progressive death metal and you add enough uppers and methamphetamine to make it go absolutely insane, you get Defect Designer. What a ride. Next up is a band name that I think is pronounced Inthraced with Constellation Zero. The debut album from this Finnish band is one of the most majestic albums I've heard in Melodeath in such a long time. Considering it's been 12 years since their last EP, it's taken quite a bit of time to get through their trials and tribulations to this point, but the proof is in the pudding here with this beyond stellar debut album. It feels like what would happen if Keep of Calcium made Melodeath, with hints of Winter Sun, Children of Bodom, and Crimson Shadows for good measure. It's an album that feels like a trip through the universe and pulverizes you at every turn. Add in such a great mix of clean vocals at just the right spots among the deep growls, and you have a diverse album that any Melodeath fan should be chomping at the bit over. Seriously, anyone who has ever enjoyed Melodeath, symphonic metal, power metal, etc. needs to grab a hold of this one. It only gets better with every single listen. Next up is Lost in Separation with their self-titled album. The third album from this Dallas, Texas band hits so much of what I love about the newer era of metalcore. While clearly having so much covered when it comes to technical ability, they still show some diversity in sound and know how to write catchy hook after catchy hook. Combining all of these elements is not as easy as it sounds, but the band has been polishing their sound over the years, and while this is easily their most commercial sounding album to date, I dare say it's their best. I can see why a lot of people might not check out this one, but for those who love melodies and harmonies that are done with crystal clear production, heavy riffs, and remind you of why there are good elements in pop music in the world, this is an album worth your time. If you dig the lights of Alt, Iridium, Dream on Dreamer, and Like Moths to Flames, you absolutely should check this one out. Give it a proper shot if you aren't so inclined. And finally today we have Saratoga with an album title I know I'm going to get wrong because I'm terrible at Spanish, In Estado Puro. The 15th album in 31 years from Spain's best power metal band is here, and it's some incredible work. I of course, again, don't speak Spanish, but I love the vocal melodies and harmonies that the band has always shown, and it leads to some catchy moments that anyone could sing along with. Of course, the rest of the band blazes along with impeccable riffs and drumming that reminds you why the band has been around for over 3 decades now, and they have not lost the slightest amount of steam. The production perfectly matches the band, and the songwriting feels as catchy and as fresh as ever. If you enjoy the likes of Warcry, Mego de Oz, Angra, and Darkmoor, you should already know Saratoga, but if you don't, especially if you don't, you need to remedy that immediately. And there you go, folks, another 16 albums down for Out Today and What I Missed, 60 albums done for May 2026, and 301 albums done for 2026 so far. So what do you think? Did I cover some good albums? Did I cover some bad albums? Anything I should have covered? Anything that you're going to check out? Anything I should be on the lookout for? Please let me know down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And make sure to come back in a couple days for my recap of every album I reviewed in May 2026. And make sure to come back next Friday for Out Today and What I Missed for June 5th, 2026. And until then, for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, this is Josh Ronquist saying, embrace the skullet.